The moment a Portuguese person talks to you, you freeze, feeling like a deer in the headlights. Why? This is the worst thing you can do. It is, of course, a natural reaction to the confusion you may feel and the surprise that what you just heard was even Portuguese. Instead of trying to show off your great pronunciation while giving your opinion on some big topic, let me show you how you can participate in conversations by rephrasing what you heard. A technique I used myself in Polish back in 2009. This will be the only speaking you need to do, and honestly, its purpose is for you to understand the other person and keep the conversation going. The result is that you won't even remember how to pull up a deer in the headlights face ever again. And you know what? I may have heard this deer in the headlights expression before, but it was only after hearing my unschoolers describe how they felt when spoken to by a neighbor or so that I became familiar with it. Still, it was only when a couple of unschoolers gave me a deer in the headlights look in an in-person workshop that it finally clicked. And that's when I became worried. If this is how you signal to the speaker that you're clueless as to what they're saying, you need to stop it right now. The way it felt to me was that they were paying all their attention to what I was saying. I was even making strategic pauses to allow them to interrupt me for any need of clarification. However, it was only when I finished telling my story that they revealed they were lost. In a natural environment, this won't work in your favor, right? So let me tell you how I managed to see a flat in Wrocław when I moved to Poland at the age of 22, and even managed to sign the contract. In case it wasn't clear yet, it was written in Polish. Now, my 9 months of Polish and a couple of summer courses did not include contract viewing vocabulary in their syllabus. The first issue I came across was having to find the place I needed to understand over the phone the building number, the floor, and the flat number. One number in Polish is tricky enough, let alone 3. And of course, they were declinated, meaning not 22, but 22nd. I first ended up in a different building, but I finally managed to get to the right place. We then spent a good half hour or more going through the contract. The guy would read a section out loud, and then I would rephrase what he had said in my simple Polish. He would either confirm or correct me, and so on and so forth. The funny thing is, when I was about to leave the flat, the guy told me he had lived 2 years in London. I leave it to your imagination what I felt like doing at that moment. I don't quite remember what I signed, but I was legally allowed to live in that flat for a year, so this rephrasing business works. You see, it's that simple. You can't let us go on and on without interrupting us for clarification. Look, I know that in a lot of cultures, interrupting someone who's speaking is considered rude, but that happens here in Portugal. So you are officially allowed to interrupt us if you can't understand us. It's the only way to keep yourself in the loop of what might be an important or possibly enjoyable chat. Staring at us is simply not understood as, "What the heck are you saying?" but as full attention, wonder, or shock at what we're saying. So how to rephrase what you just heard? You simply say back what you did understand, even if it was just one word you picked up. If I say, ontem tive de ir a Lisboa, não estava nada a contar com isso, mas é que a minha irmã precisava de ajuda com a minha sobrinha. You go, ontem Lisboa o quê? Not your most coherent sentence in Portuguese, but hey, this is the message you convey to me. Oh boy, he didn't understand me. Let me try again. Ontem tive de ir a Lisboa. A minha irmã precisava de ajuda com a minha sobrinha. You never heard the word sobrinha, so you can either go sobrinha with a question intonation, or you make a guess because you have context here. A filha de tua irmã? Again, the question intonation is important. Above anything else, be open to sounding silly. This Instagram reel by Gabriel Guimarães, previously Math Girl, now Math Punk, shows this in a very humorous way. The patient understands the doctor's question, gosta de matemática, do you like maths, as próstata linfática, lymphatic prostate.
Olha, eu não trago boas notícias. O que é que se passa, doutor? Tudo indica que o senhor gosta de matemática. Próstata linfática? Gosta de matemática. E o que é que isso significa? Significa que a sua esperança de vida é semelhante...
Look, I know that the way we speak is not very straightforward, so you really need to use special measures if you ever want to become conversational in Portuguese. When you master rephrasing, you feel like Superman or Superwoman because you have spoken a little, a major confidence booster. You managed to get a break since interrupting the speaker means you have some time to breathe. You clearly signal that you need clarification. You understand, and the conversation proceeds. No frustration and no other language was spoken. Above all, no anxiety kicked in because you weren't expecting to hear Cinderella Portuguese, what textbook tends to offer you. But you were already prepared for real Portuguese instead. If you have never heard me talk about Cinderella Portuguese, you need to watch this video next. It's the first light bulb moment you will ever have if you've been relying on beautifully enunciated Portuguese content.